Hi everyone, welcome back to the Northern Gamblers podcast. Racing is back, so that means the podcast is back. James, are you glad that racing is back and are you excited for Newmarket at the weekend?
Yeah, very glad it's back. Very excited. Plenty of really good racing. Good to be back on the turf. So yeah, all very good.
So I've called it Newmarket Guineas preview. I mean, it is Newmarket Guineas preview, even though it's probably a month late. Well, factually a month late. I had to do my usual stuff. I don't know if any of this stuff's going to hold up, but I had to look at trainers that normally do well at the Guineas meeting. So you can probably throw these stats out the window, to be honest with you, but potentially still interesting. I thought the Michael Stout stats were pretty decent. 12 from 50 at the meeting, 24%, plus 28 on Betfair. Charlie Appleby, decent as well. It's a nice pointer for Pinatubo. The Stout stats, and Stout's got some prominent runners in some of the markets as well, so that's particularly why I wanted to dig into it. Does well pretty much every year, to be honest. Like most years, if you've been backing him, you'd have been getting a positive return at level stakes. So Stout does well at the traditional Newmarket Guineas meeting. So it's a bloody shame we're not having a traditional Newmarket Guineas meeting, isn't it? We're gonna start. Well, so we're gonna do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're probably gonna skip like most of the novices and maidens. Maybe I haven't had a look at many of the handicaps. Have you?
A few, but I've mainly looked at the group races and that.
Yeah, listers and group races in the main. So does that mean we start on Friday with the 225? That is the Abernant Stakes. Yeah, is that the first race for you?
Yeah, can be.
Yeah, it's the first one for me. Quiz question: do you know who Abernant was?
No, I do not.
He was a sprinter in the late 40s and early 50s, known by some as the greatest sprinter of the 20th century. And he won like a lot of the kind of major sprint races in 1949 and 1950. So that's a bit of a trivia for you. I've done quite a lot on. Oh, do you know what? Also, do you know what this race is known as? It's known as the Kevin Ryan race because Kevin Ryan just wins it every year.
That's
I think
good. That's good for the one I fancy actually.
Oh, I wonder if we fancy the same one. So Brando heads the market for Ryan, with Tommy's jocked up. He's also got Emiratiana in there with Atseni on board. Do you like one of the Ryan runners in Kevin Ryan's race, or are you looking elsewhere, James?
I mean, I'll start off by saying I won't be having a bet in this race. But as a token fancy, yeah, it is one of the Ryan runners, yeah.
Which one is it?
It's not Brando, it's Emiratiana.
Me too.
I just think this will be the season where you see this horse kick on. They obviously thought he was pretty decent. They ran him in both Guineas. Don't know why they ran him in the Irish Guineas because he didn't stay in the English Guineas. So they reverted back to sprinting, and it took him a couple of goals to get a win. But I just can imagine him really progressing now that they've decided he's a sprinter, and that's how he's going to be trained. And I was actually hoping he's got a mark of 104. I was hoping they would target him at maybe a top end handicap. But the fact that they're throwing him straight in this Group 3 probably tells you that they think he's potentially better than that. I remember reading a stable to a comment from Kevin Ryan saying how they think he's really filled out now and he actually looks more of a sprinter. So I think of the horses in the field, I think he's the one with the most potential to improve. Obviously, Brando sets the standard. He's won this race before. He's a top class sprinter, but he's 8 now, so you would presume he's past his best and could be there for the taking for one of the slightly younger horses.
Yeah, Brando's won it twice, hasn't he? And got done by Keystroke, who's back in the race. who won that race last year as well.
Yeah, he won that
and then
FX.
Ryan won it. Yeah, Ryan's won it twice in the past. I think it was 15 and 14 with is it Arthur and Hamza, I think, are the two other runners in recent years as well. Same one for me, actually, Emirati Anna. No offense to Tom Eves, but I think I'd say he's a better jockey booking for one of the Ryan runners, and he takes the ride on Emirati Anna.
Well, he's the rider, isn't he, for the Sheikh Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum. He's their jockey, so he would have to.
Okay, good. I didn't know that, so I'll admit to that one. I did quite a lot of work on pace at Newmarket, so this is just general kind of pace at Newmarket since 2017. The pace analysis for Newmarket tells me that you want to be at the front. The front is the place to be. I couldn't really find any significant draw bias. It seems to kind of oscillate a little bit, but I could find a significant pace bias towards front runners. So I'll be generally focusing on front runners throughout the podcast, and also in terms of betting on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That will be where my focus will be. Trying to do a little kind of homemade pace map for the Abernant as well. And it's interesting because over 6, as you saw in the table before, you would say the traditional pace bias is for the front runners to do well. This race has been a bit of a quirk in the last 3 years in the fact that Keystroke won it from the back last year, and then the 2 times that Brando won it were also from the back as well. So it's like 3 races in a row have been run by horses running in hold-up positions. But looking at the bigger data set, that isn't the traditional run style that does well over 6. So I'm happy to take a broader sample from all of the 6 furlong races than just one kind of race, historic race in isolation. I just don't think there's that much pace on at all. I think you've got Keystroke, Brando, Mr. Lupton who want to be near the back. And I think you're going to have Emirati Anna, who's the only real front runner in the race, and I think he can get out and can dominate and dictate tactics and pace from the front. So I think that's another thing that plays into his hands. I did some shots, and these are actually Ryan runners as well. So this is Esther in 2015, but that is Esther coming out from the front. This is after about a furlong, goes on to win. And that is Hamza in 2014, comes out at the front from a furlong, goes on to win. Now, of course, disclaimer is Brando's tactics were fundamentally different. But Kevin Ryan knows what he's doing. So, and I think the run style and the nature of the race will suit Emirati Anna. I was with you. Opportunity for improvement stepping into this season. So, throw my oar in on that one as well. It's a double podcast pick.
Just looking at the odds as well, he's a top Emirati Anna is top price 11-1, and he's as short as 11-2 in some places. So
yeah, I thought it was 11-2. Yeah, where's 11-1?
11 Ladbrokes and Coral 11, Boyle Victor 10, 365 Sky and 9. So it's a shame there's not 8 runners, to be honest.
What about entries then? Is that an entries thing, or is that just shit markets?
That's just shit markets, I think, because the runners have been finalised, haven't they? So if there was 8 runners, you'd be absolutely laughing there, but he'd probably be a tiny bit shorter. But interesting. If he was 11-1 on the day, I'd be very tempted. To be fair, even
6s.
Well, no, maybe not. Well, 8+ is probably fair enough, isn't it? I wouldn't be back in Keystroke or Oxford. I think they're too short. It's just Brando you got to worry about, but I think he's beatable.
Yeah. Take the younger, more unexposed horse over the aging horse every time. Yeah. So 225 double podcast pick, Emirati Anna. 3 o'clock is the Paradise Stakes. The market is headed there by Sangarius. I think 15-8 is the best price you can get there. And then quite an intriguing Gosden runner called Lord Tennyson, who is a 4-year-old, but we've only seen on the track once, followed by Mythical Magic for Charlie Appleby and ridden by William Buick. I will start us off here. I thought, I've actually got some notes on this. Sangarius, I'm a bit surprised by the drop in trip. I don't like the drop in trip to from 10 furlongs last time out. Looked nice last time out, but was kind of going through the line well at 10, so I wouldn't be desperate to drop back to 8. He's still very unexposed, and I've already mentioned Sir Michael Stout's record in the traditional Guineas meeting, so that's another positive. Price is a bit rank though, 15 to 8 and 7 to 4, so I don't really like that. Lord Tennyson, just interesting for how unexposed he is. It's by Poet's Voice. Didn't really jump out at me when I was like digging in the pedigree, so I'm not really loving his profile. He must be a bit kind of temperamental by the fact that we've only seen him on the track once. The one that I like is Mythical Magic for Appleby, and he had a bit of a campaign in Maidan. And I know it's still a while ago and you can't really claim fitness because we've been in lockdown, but I still prefer to see something that had a recent run in February or March than something that's been off the track since August, September, October last year. It's a class drop for him from Group 2 to listed company, and he was well beaten all of last year, but he was running in decent Group 1 races, and I think the fact that they pitch him in a listed race here, I think it's going to be weaker company for him. So I quite like him. I also did the pace on that as well. Similar story. Front running is the nice place to be. Bit of a pace battle, perhaps, is something to worry about. Vale of Kent's going to go forward. Marie's Diamond's going to go forward. And Mythical Magic is going to go forward. But I didn't say, I mean, one run for Lord Tennyson, but was kind of out the back on that run. But you never know what the run style is going to be on that horse. But as long as Mythical Magic doesn't get drawn into a pace battle with those other two, I quite like this profile. I think it's a softer race than he's been in for a good 12 to 16 months. So I think he can be competitive here.
Yeah, no, I like that actually. You made a good case there. He went off, just looking here, he went off 8 to 11 favourite as well for that Group 2 in Maidan, where he came second just by a neck to Zakuski. And you had Dream Castle back in third. Yeah, he looks like a decent each-way player. I am actually struggling to get away from Sangarius here, actually. I'm not that worried about the drop in trip. He's by Kingman after all, and the Dam had a few milers as well. Obviously, none of them were as good as Sangarius has been, but as you said, it's lightly raced. He's open to plenty more improvement. The old cliche of Sir Michael Stout's runners improving with time. You said about the stats for his runners at this meeting, and his runners have massively hit the ground running in general. If you look at the stats, I think he was running at a 50% strike race until today. I think, and all of them had placed, apart from one later on today didn't place. So he's obviously the yards obviously wanted to start off with a bang. And I bless him. I don't think he's good enough. Century Dream probably wants bad ground. Escobar's a top class handicapper. I don't think he's
he's not good enough.
Group horse. Marie's Diamond, your champion 2-year-old of a couple of years ago today.
My champion kind of by June 2-year-old who's not done anything since.
Yeah. I like Momkin as a good horse, but I couldn't have him. I don't think he's as good as Sangarius. All This Is Us is a really creditable horse, but again, he's probably getting a bit older and probably just past his best. Prince Eg is an interesting one, but quite unreliable and not showing the form of Sangarius. And Vale of Kent, not good enough. So, yeah, I mean, Lord Tennyson, we don't really know. But I can't be backing a horse that's only had one run against something like Sangarius. Anyway, I mean, what was his win at Chelmsford?
Yeah, it was an all-weather novice, wasn't it?
Like it's a bit of a step up, isn't it? So yeah, I was actually struggling to get away from the favourite, so I'm going to stick with him. Sangarius for me.
There's another interesting one further down, Darwam, but purely interesting, kind of on the pedigree. Like, and I don't think this would suit, but maybe just one to take note of, perhaps on the synthetics. Is By Kitten's Joy. So just while I was scrolling down, that just jumped out at me. Owen Burrows, I think, trains Darwin's name. Kitten's Joy.
Yeah.
One for the synthetics, I would say.
Not the synthetics. Want to follow on the synthetics.
Yeah. So Sangarius for you and Mythical Magic for me in the Paradise.
Yeah.
The Coronation Cup at 335. This is fascinating and also horrific at the same time, in my opinion. Market is headed by a horse that you've long admired and who you should have been able to retire from the Derby 2 years ago, considering we're chipping away for about 6 months, who is either a superstar or very, very unreliable, and that horse is Gaiath. Do you think Gaiath can hold it together here? And is he good enough to play in this sort of competition back on the mainland?
A horse I've actually never won a penny on. I still think he's a very good horse. I think the key here is the break. He always runs exceptionally well off a break. So he won over in Maidan off a 137-day break. He won that Group 1 in Germany. They destroyed the field of a 126-day break. He won in Longchamp of a 197-day break. He won again at Longchamp of a 334-day break. So yeah, off a break of over 100 days, he's actually unbeaten. He was very impressive over in Maidan, over 10 furlongs. He destroyed the field. I mean, he was entitled to his rate quite a bit higher than them, but I mean, Desert Encounter was in that race as well. He was in this race, and he was absolutely nowhere near him. He's 2 out of 2 at Newmarket, which is a bit of a plus. He liked the ground. He's not a great price, or is he? Like,
on what we know currently, his price is rank.
Yeah, if you think he's unreliable, he's a terrible price. But if you think he's the superstar that he can be, he's probably a good price. Looking at the competitors, I don't know much about Alunak. I don't really rate Anthony Van Dyke. Broome wants 2 miles. Defoe obviously won this last year. He probably is the closest competitor. He's already smashed Desert Encounter and Stradivarius. This is a prep race for the Ascot Gold Cup, so they're not going to be getting serious on him. So if he beats Defoe, for me, he wins. So perhaps it's not a terrible price. What is he, 6-4 best or something? If it got any bigger, it'd be a tempter. Are you froze? Or are you looking at a price?
Yeah.
Hello? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I think the thing with Gaiath is it's a different kettle of fish than smashing up soft fields at Maidan. And I did remember reading some stuff at the time that like the time wasn't very good. It was like compared.
He broke the track record, didn't he?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think he did. I remember watching it I remember watching it.
Ah, well, that's another comment people control me for then.
I mean, I'm not. I think he broke the track record. I wouldn't want to be quoted on that either, but I don't think it was a bad time.
I thought it was soft. Thought it was a soft race. Strad, don't like the trip whatsoever. Over 12. The last time Strad was at 12, if I remember correctly, he was beaten at Chester back in 2017. Now, I'm not saying that he's the same horse that he was in 2017, but it's not his trip. Like, get the horse at his bloody right trip. And there's a reason why he hasn't been running at 12 for 3 years. It's because it's not his trip. And as you say, it's a prep. So I can't be having Strad for it. I think he'll just get done for tour. Van Dijk just fell in the Derby. Kind of got that image of them all just collapsing in a heap at the end and him just coming through on the inside and snagging it a little bit. Same opinion on Broome. He's a boat. So I settled on Defoe. Just mega consistent, decent, reliable sort. If Gaiath isn't as good as he might be, if he makes 6-4 look rank, then Defoe is probably the one to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's fair, very fair.
Cool. That's probably it done for Friday. Have you got anything else on Friday? Anything in the handicaps?
I do, but I'm not going to say.
I want to check if Guy brought the track record.
I think he did, and then it was over the next night. Star Safari, another Godolphin horse, broke it again, but was carrying like a stone less.
Yeah, he broke the track record at Maidan.
Yeah,
decent.
Yeah. If he runs his race, he'll win. But Defoe is definitely the solid option. But I mean, it's probably a risk not to get involved with, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was a mess. Didn't like it. We'll go to Saturday then. We'll go to the Palace House.
I think that. Sorry, I'll just say one last thing on that race. I do think it being at Newmarket is a bit of a plus for Gaiath, though. It's not a negative for the Defoe, though. I think he's won there as well, but it's because he's won there twice, so the ground, decent ground, will be a plus. He's had the break, but it's basically, if he doesn't win this, he's not the top-notch Group 1 horse because everything's in his favour, really.
So we'll go to Saturday. We'll go to the 150, which is the Palace House over 5. Market's headed by Judicial at 5s and then Moskill at 5s. And we were even just talking about this kind of in the chat just before the podcast. I do fancy Moskill for this. He was very progressive last year, like really progressive last year. Ended up on an RPR of 109 after starting off on an RPR of 87. So just super progressive. 4-year-old. I'd much rather take a 4-year-old sprinter coming into this field than an 8-year-old sprinter in Judicial. So I really like Moskill for this, actually. The other one that I like is Shades of Blue. That's another progressive 4-year-old from last year as well. Had a nice campaign here and blew up a little bit on last season at Longchamp. But decent horse for Clive Cox there. A couple of nice runs at York in the middle of last year as well. So I'm shading with or siding with the 4-year-old sprinters in this against the 8-year-old Judicial. Did you like anyone in the Palace House?
I'm not going to lie, I haven't really looked at it in a lot of detail. Unless there's a horse that I really fancy that I've been waiting for, I'm trying to stay away from the sprints because they're just a bit of a nightmare for me. It's important to know what you're good at and what you're not so good at. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. You want to be taking the potential improver over the horse that's shown its hand many times. But Judicial's got a great chance. I mean, he's course and distance winner, top rated, was in good form before lockdown. So I don't know. I do like Moskill as well, though. But I won't be betting in that race. So I'll just leave it.
Next one is the 225 on Saturday. That is the Philly Stakes Group 2 over 1 mile 2. The market is headed by Terabellum for John Gosden at 6-4 at the moment. Is Terabellum the one for you, or do you look elsewhere?
No, I like Magic Lily in this. She's by a new approach out of Dancing Rain, a Derby winner and an Oaks winner, which is obviously lovely pedigree. She came out and won a debut, and then she ran in the Phillies Mile and came third to the Laurens. I don't know if you remember that. September was in second, Magical was fourth. It was a really good race. She was only 3/4 of a length off Lawrence. She then got an injury and was off for 721 days. And she came back at the back end of last year and she ran okay, but she kind of didn't run anywhere near how good she was or the potential she's shown. She then had a 61-day break and went out to Maidan and clearly been transformed a little bit because she won 2 Group 2s out there and then was second in a Group 1 just behind Barney Roy. And she was probably just tapped for toe a little bit in that race by Barney Roy, who's obviously a top-class Group 1 horse anyway. So that was over 9 furlongs. I think this extra furlong will definitely help. She's now back in the swing of things. She had 3 races over in Maidan, obviously showed much more progressive form. I think she has the best form in the race. She does have to carry a £3 penalty. But I think obviously she ran 91 days ago in Maidan, which might give her a slight edge. And I think she's. I was surprised she wasn't favourite, to be honest. I think she's a good shout.
Yeah, she was on my shortlist as well. She was one of the aside from Terabellum, which are interesting horse, but again, trying to oppose the favourite at the price. I settled on Eva Maria and Magic Lily for the reasons that you mentioned. Yeah, it's a decent one behind Barney Roy last time out at Maidan. Eva Marie is a nice horse and was quite kind of progressive last year. I think did you tip her a few times?
Tipped her on an unbelievable day, and I think we had 4 winners, like 50 points up in a day or something. I don't think she's good enough to win this though.
Yeah, she was on my shortlist.
She's nice, but she would have to improve best part of £18 to win this.
Yeah, true. So I also settled on Magic Lily as well. So double podcast pick there.
I honestly was surprised she wasn't favourite. I think she was 5-2. You can get. That's not a bad price, to be honest.
Next one is the 3 o'clock on Saturday over 10 Newmarket Stakes. This hype horse Waldkönig is heading the market there at 5-4.
Say that again.
Waldkönig.
Waldkönig.
How'd you say it?
I don't know. I said Waldkönig, but similar.
Same thing, isn't it?
She said so. I'm putting more emphasis on the core. You're sort of linking the Koenig.
I've pulled out the N. Yeah, so he heads the market. He's in even the stupidest man's horses to follow list for the year, so he's pretty unmissable, and he's been installed at a 5-4 favourite. I mean, surely he's got to win this if he's as good as he looked on debut at Wolves, and if he's as good as he's talked about, eh?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's horses in this race that have shown quite a lot more. But obviously he was impressive at Wolves, and he's got the pedigree, obviously, by Kingman out of Valderesh, who of course is the dam of Voldgeist and Voldstern, if you remember Voldstern, who was not a bad horse himself. I mean, Dettori's on for Gosden, and Gosden's got 2 others in the race. So, I mean, that gives you a little clue into their sort of priority. Al-Azi has been another massively hyped horse recently for William Haggis. All I keep hearing about is this horse, how he's going to win the Derby. Not so sure about that yet. Obviously, would need to see more. But
and he got beat by Tom Collins, didn't he? Who ran today and was shite.
William Haggis said
he was 50.
7 furlongs on soft ground would be the last thing that he would want. To be fair,
okay.
That Goldsworthy, who was in second, bolted up yesterday at Kempton. So there's a little bit of substance. Jesus, they gave that Goldsworthy a mark of 80, but obviously he just ran in the maiden. Some of these handicap marks after 2 runs are just scary, really. So yeah, he's been given the hype, but also, I mean, look at today. That Born with Pride was hyped from the Haggis yards, and it was absolutely useless. So sometimes you got to take these things with a pinch of salt, and I would much rather see them do it. I mean, he must be a short price anyway. Is he Alazi?
Yeah, he's 2nd 5, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It's totally not a betting race. The one that's actually shown the most is the other Gosden horse, this Mishriff, who has had 4 starts and he's progressed with each start. He went out to the South to Saudi Arabia and almost won a race on that card where they had the richest race ever.
Yeah, almost won 360 grand.
Yeah,
Over a mile.
exactly. So he's probably pretty useful. I mean, it's just. I mean, that was on dirt, to be fair. So, Punctuation won a race very impressively. Yeah, I mean, it's just a watching brief, isn't it? To be honest, there's not much else you can say about it, really.
But if you put him in your horses to follow, at least you can boom it afterwards.
Well, we know a lot of people will be. A lot of people will be putting up Wald Koenig at whatever price he is, 65, whatever.
Oh, Waldkonig.
Waldkonig, yeah. Get Waldkonig, boom, Waldkonig. Horses to follow. One for the horses to follow on the
So from one horse to follow to another horse to follow, it's the 335 on Saturday, and it's the 2,000 guineas, and it's Pinatubo.
Yeah.
We covered it to death actually in the anti-post podcast, but just to touch on it briefly, Trip, we both thought Trip would be fine. We were a bit more unsure about the Derby trip. 1 mile, no problem for Pinatubo. The old cliche, whether it has he kind of developed and progressed from 2 to 3. No one outside Charlie Appleby's yard and Godolphin knows, so we won't speculate on that, and we will see on the track on Saturday. So it really just depends whether you're the type of person who doesn't mind taking a shades of odds on about a kind of, a growing horse that was obviously lethal at 2 and then comes back on the track at 3, or whether you like to oppose those types. I would certainly be a person to oppose those types every time, and I'm very happy to go and watch a machine win if he wins and wave goodbye to my money and kind of clap him home. So what do we think now about the guineas market? I know you like Military March for the Derby. Does anything jump out to you? I'm really annoyed that Almadar's not gone, but thanks for that, Richard Hannon.
What time is the clap for Pinatubo? Is that taken over from the clap for key workers?
And the wave goodbye to my money as well. It's a clap and a wave
clap
together.
And a wave. That sounds decent, to be fair.
Yeah, it's 3:36 on Saturday.
I mean, the good thing is there's 15 runners, so you'd imagine if you are wanting to take on Pinatubo, you're going to get 4 places. You would imagine from most bookies. You may even get 5 from the odd one. Obviously, with racing coming back first, sort of big weekend, there might be a lot of bookies promotions, so that'll help. Yeah, I do like Military March for the Derby, all over him for that. But I do think he has a chance here.
So do I.
Yeah, I do. I don't think he's short of pace. To run through the runners, he obviously beat Alsa Hale, and I think he's got more progression in him. I'm worried about Arizona and Wichita over the mile, being by no nay never. Now, Arizona does have a sibling that has stayed a mile, but I mean, obviously, this is a 2,000 guineas. This is not just a normal race. If you're going to win a guineas, you're going to, you have to be staying the mile properly, not just scraping home. He went out to America, didn't he, after Pinatubo beat him again and only managed 5th over a mile. That was on firm ground, so they've been easier to get. So I don't like Arizona. Cephas, the Brian Mean horse, he's an actual horse in my tracker, but I was not expecting him to go straight to the 2,000 guineas. I thought it was a nice debut win.
Might be a weapon.
Well, it might be, to be fair. But
just fancies taking on Pinatubo. Knows he's got him held.
I couldn't be backing him for this off one win. Juan
a neck win.
Yeah. To be fair, he beat a decent Godolphin horse who's rated about 94. Who was in he's in the Volkernig race. Actually, he's in the race before this. So maybe if Vulcan Star wins the 3 o'clock, you never know. Cephas be a big form boost. Kamiko we touched upon with. Nah, I don't think either of us are sure.
One for the synthetics.
One for the synthetics. The one to follow on the synthetics. Kenzai Warrior seems to be getting a lot of hype. But if you look through collateral form between him and Ropey Guest, Military March and Alsa Hill both slammed that horse. So he's interesting.
Max Vega got smashed up today as well.
Max Vega got smashed up today. Yeah, it was really bad. Kinross, I think, is definitely interesting.
He is interesting, isn't he? Because he was really fancied for the Futurity and he went off 13-8 favourite and then he was shy, but the old excuse, the synthetics.
Well, he wasn't too bad. He came 5th.
He was beating 6 lengths.
Yeah, but he's only a couple lengths behind the Mogul and Year of the Tiger and Innisfree and stuff. He bolted up at Newmarket on his debut, and that form looks decent, to be fair. So that's obviously a plus for him to get back on the turf and Newmarket. And the Kingmans have actually got a really good record at Newmarket from what we've seen so far. So, you know what I mean? He ticks boxes. Plenty. He's only had 2 starts. Could be plenty more to go. I think he's definitely towards the top of the list for if you're going to play each way against Pinatubo. We've discussed Military March to death. Mum's Tipple, to me, probably more of a sprinter, 6-7 furlong horse. It's interesting he comes here and Fret goes to the St. James's Palace, though, and Almadar just doesn't come. So maybe...
It really fascinates me because, as I said on the Anti-Post podcast, Richard Hannon was my Anti-Post Guinea strategy. So that's why I was kind of weighing in with Almadar. So it is very interesting, as you said, that Fret doesn't go, Almadar doesn't go, and they've decided Mum's Tipple goes. But I've got a note in my tracker from Richard Hannon. A personal note, yeah.
Love letter.
An email. Ryan felt after York that a flatter track might just be for him. He didn't handle the undulations at Newmarket, but he also got a kick in the gate there. But if he didn't handle the undulations at Newmarket, why the hell did they send him back?
I mean, so you can forgive a horse once, really, can't you?
Yeah.
But he is by a Guineas winner, so you never know. I think there's better options, personally. New World Tapestry, no, not for me. Probably just there to cause trouble. Persuasion's another horse in my tracker. I thought the mark of 99 might be quite interesting. Yeah, they've sent him to the 2,000 guineas, so maybe my thinking was correct, but it's not great for me.
Maybe trainers aren't thinking about scummy handicap marks as much as you are.
It's a shame, really, isn't it? Because I would be. It's like that first receiver yesterday. First thing I tweeted when he bolted up, I was like, well, that's a waste of a handicap mark. It was like rated 88. Nice to go to Royal Ascot, and I mean, he probably would have had to maybe be up a few more pounds, but I mean, 88, he probably might have got in the Britannia or something. Would have been pissed up. Anyway, Royal Dornoch. It's definitely more interesting than New World Tapestry. Didn't he? Is he the one that beat?
He beat Kamiko. So he's got collateral with Kamiko.
And that was before Kamiko ran on the synthetics.
The old synthetics, yeah.
So yeah, he is probably interesting, isn't he? Glen Eagles obviously won the Guineas himself. No, he's going to stay the 8. He's already won over 8 at Newmarket, bit of course form. What price is he? Do you know what price it is?
25s. Oh, on Betfair he's 25s. They might be
25.
better.
Well, he's potentially interesting. Starcat for our mate Huey Morrison.
And you have got a personal email about Starcat, actually.
Well, you gave me it. Yeah, I did have. Well, I think I said it, didn't I, on our Horses to Follow podcast. Bit of an unknown, really. I think Starcat, obviously very impressive on debut, I thought, but I mean, this is a hell of a step up.
But didn't Huey say Starcat? Yeah, good horse. We don't really know what we've got. We'll really have to find out on the track, and we'll learn more on the track.
He said
Bang!
he doesn't
First
really,
entry, 2,000 guineas.
Yeah, well, he said he doesn't really show much at home.
Yeah.
But then again, apparently Pinatubo did he? So it's not really a bad trait to have. And then finally, Wichita. Again, I've expressed concerns about these no-nevers over a mile. He's already been beaten by a few of these. He wouldn't be for me either. So, in summary, for me, if you take on Pinatubo, the shortlist is probably Military March, Kinross, and now that I've had another little look there, Royal Dornoch I wouldn't put you off him. Those would be my 3 to look at. In more detail and make your own choice.
My 2 would be the old pace maps coming back out.
Oh.
So this is how I thought, and so then this is the breakdown of kind of the win impact value and percentage of rivals beaten. So it's coloured. This is draw, low, middle, high. This is pace, held up, prominent, leading. The darker green is the better, lighter green, and then it kind of goes down in scale. Yeah, I thought Mum's Tipple and Military March are drawn quite close to each other. They're going to come out. They both want to go from the front. I didn't think there was a hell of a lot of pace on or competition to front run aside from those two. A lot of them are going to want to sit in behind. Kinross has been in behind before, so I thought that was a bit of a negative. I'm probably going to weigh in with those two, you know. I can't let go of my Richard Hannon strategy because I'm an angle better and I can't let go of my angles even when it costs me money. So I'm going to stick with me Richard Hannon Guinea strategy. And I'm kind of with you. I think Military March is just a very good horse and is going to progress a lot this season and is the rightful favourite for the Derby at the moment because I think he's just gone favourite this week, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But if we've got a Derby favourite in the Guineas market, you're going to think he's going to be up there, and it's an each way price. And if he doesn't hit the frame in the top 3, I'd be very surprised. So Military March and Mum's Tipple for me.
And he's already won at the course as well, so he handles that. I mean, with those 2 selections, it's quite funny because you've got one that potentially won't stay and the one that's potentially not fast enough.
So that'll be 5th and 6th
then. Yeah. Unless there's a horrendous draw/pace bias again this year.
Yeah, that was high, I think, last year.
Was it high, was it?
Yeah, so and because I was just crunching it before, so
it was on the stand side rail, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Magna Gracia was in 17, so it was high.
What was the ground last year? Does it say?
The ground, I've definitely got it because I'm looking in my results sheet now. It was good.
Right. Okay.
But then Saxon Warrior was drawn in 9. Middle. Churchill was drawn in 3. They were all prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Could be anything.
Drawing pace is a funny old thing.
I mean, on all known form, Pinatubo could be 1 to 2, really. Couldn't he though?
Yeah, he could be. Yeah.
He's beaten over half. He's beaten. How many he's beaten? Half the field? No, actually, he hasn't beaten half. He hasn't faced some of them. Through form lines, he is clear, but I mean, we've got to remember we are talking about the best 2-year-old since Frankel on the ratings, and he looked it as well. So could be a really. We were talking about Guy F being a good or a bad 6-4 shot or whatever he is. Pinatubo could be an amazing even shot if he is evens. But that's the beauty of the game, isn't it? We will find out on Saturday.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do with the price, with the stuff you know before. The price always looks nice after. Anything else on Saturday?
There's a few I like actually. Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about?
They're all probably favourites, to be fair, though. No, we'll just talk about the big races.
Yeah, Pogo's back out as well.
But yeah, I've taken him on. There's a horse in there. It's going to be favourite.
Pogo won at this meeting, the proper meeting when we were there last year, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
He has won at Newmarket twice, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit high in the range now. I'm not sure he's better than.
Yeah, when they beat Al Camille on the 4th of May.
We were there and we didn't bet him.
No, because I had a theory that he was a soft ground dog.
Yeah, I remember. And then he won on good to firm at York.
Yeah.
Off 99.
12-1.
Yeah, didn't have a penny on.
Decent. Sunday. Anything in the Buckhounds Stakes? The listed race? 150. Communique is the favourite.
Hang on. It's going to take ages to load. Who else is it? Run me through them.
Communique, first in line. Trushan, Manuela de Vega, Fairlax, Secret Advisor, Ghostwatch, Dashing Willoughby, Kelly's Dino. The rest.
Haven't looked at it.
Yeah, me neither.
Sounds interesting though. Some interesting horses in there.
What about Pretty Polly at 3:00 on Sunday? Domino Darling, nice horse. Oppenheimer Colours. I think we talked about Domino Darling on the anti-post, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Haggis horse. She was second favourite for the Oaks. She probably still is. Or third favourite. I think she's third favourite now actually, because Love's been smashed up, hasn't she? Yeah, just talk about the 1,000 guineas, I reckon.
Well, there is one in that 3:00, the Pretty Polly, that we would love to see win, and that's Tiempo Vuela for the Oaks anti-post. So we tipped her for the Oaks anti-post at 40s, I think, and she's now 20s, and she's 6-1 for the Pretty Polly. So I would love to see Tiempo Vuela win the Pretty Polly. Gosden, Frankie's already jocked up. So go on, Tiempo.
That's interesting. Ryan Moore's jocked up for John Gosden as well. Oh no, he's jocked up
on Moonlight in Paris.
Well. Yeah. He's on the stout. Oh, he was already on the stout horse, wasn't he? Yeah, no, it would be nice to see Tiempo Vuela win, especially if Domino Darling turns up and a few others, because that'll be a decent marker. We'll know where we are. I think Miss Yoda runs tomorrow.
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
Or on Friday? Friday.
Oh, yeah. She runs in the race that Annapurna won last year.
Yeah, which is a lovely bit of intent, hopefully. 1,000 guineas then, 335 on Sunday. Quadrilateral is the favourite, followed by Love, which was an anti-post selection from us, Mill Isle, Cloak of Spirits, and then Peaceful, who was also an anti-post selection from us. Do we actually want to do an analysis, or just want to crow about the fact that Love was 16s on the anti-post podcast and now is best price 9-2, and Peaceful was 33s. I got 40s on Betfair, and is now 8-1 for the 1,000. We've banned people from coming on the podcast before for crowing about anti-post positions. So.
Well, do you know what we should do? We know what we need to get, like a little toy trumpet, and then just whip it out when anyone trumpets a price. Because I think we've done all right there. They're all little anti-post positions, but obviously it doesn't matter unless they go and win. Some lovely each-way prices, though. John Gosling.
I like that you said, and no offence to Roger Charlton, but Roger Charlton can't win the 1,000 guineas.
He hasn't.
And this is when quadrilateral wins.
Yeah, I I'm very happy with our position. I don't think Mill Isle will stay. I think Quadrilateral wants further. I really like it. I really like our team. Love and Peaceful.
Do you reckon Love might go off favourite?
No.
She might.
She might get close. Maybe what Quadrilateral was sort of 3-1. What she still must be around that.
5-2.
5-2.
And the bookies. Let's see what the exchange is saying.
It's interesting that John Guston's got a horse in here called Shimmering, who this is another one of these horses that have been allocated a mark after 2 runs that I'm fuming about because they're running in. Well, this is running a classic. Shimmering is a mark of 80 to Tories on. Come on, John. Just put him in a handicap for the laugh. Yeah, I wouldn't swap ours.
I think Love will go off favourite. Quadrilateral's 4.0 on the exchange, and Love is now 6.2 on the exchange.
They'll get close. I'm really excited. I'm more excited for Peaceful than Love. I just think obviously the form with Born with Pride has got thrown out the window today, but I think on better ground, I think she'll be a much better filly. There's quite a bit of potential there. Obviously, she's only had the 3 starts. Love's had 6, but well, we'll see how good a trainer Roger Charlton is, won't we? We'll see if he can beat O'Brien at what O'Brien does. Tends to win the 1,000 guineas most years recently. So, I mean, she'll be a short price for the Oaks, won't she, if she wins Quadrilateral? She'll be like a really short price. It might be like evens or something. And I'll take her on again.
Because Roger Charlton can't win the Oak. Jason Watson can't win the Oak.
No.
Best bet for the weekend?
Jesus, can't even remember what I put up.
I think we both liked Emiratiana, to be honest.
I don't know what best bet though. I did say I'm not going to have a bet in that race.
I definitely am.
I might have a speculative bet on Emiratiana. Depends what happens with the prices because they're a bit all over the place at the moment. We both agreed on another one, didn't we? Did we agree on another one on Friday or Saturday? I can't remember.
Military match. No. All right, Emiratiana it is.
I think Peaceful each way.
Peaceful each way, all right.
Maybe.
I reckon Emiratiana, Military March, Peaceful each way, treble. There you go.
I thought you liked that Godolphin horse.
What Godolphin horse?
Magical Memory or whatever it was called. No.
Oh yeah, I do like that horse. Yeah. Put that one in then as well.
Mythical
There's another
Magic.
leg for you. Yeah, Mythical Magic. Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right, that's it. Good luck for the weekend. Nice to be back.
Great to be back.
I've got to edit out all that stuff about Guy F being slow.
Still recording.
And he broke the track record. Yeah, no, it's still recording. See you later.
See ya.